Hi, sir. So give me also 2 minutes. Pooja ma'am, you can make Vipin sir the host.
Sarvesh, I think you need to just allow me to be the host.
Sir, you are the host in this your second device.
Oh, no, no. You just make me on the other device. The other device is connected through the phone just for the audio.
So you can only make it because now I am the co-host.
Okay. Acha. So from the second device,
Yes, sir.
okay, just
Sure.
Sarvesh, my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. We can start. Sir,
Great.
you can introduce yourself, then we can start, sir.
Sure, sure. So thank you so much, Sarvesh. Thank you so much, Kilej, for giving me this opportunity. It's great to connect with all of you guys who is part of this session. So today I'll be taking a session on how to plan your sales and marketing effectively in 5 steps. So, and this is purely basis the kind of experience that I have encountered, what I've done in my organization, in my current organization, and which has been very much effective, right? So it is a very simple 5-step process, a very basic scenarios where you just have to follow these 5 things to kind of achieve what is expected purely from a sales and marketing perspective, right? So that is what I would like to cover today. Just to give you a brief introduction about myself, I'm the founder CEO for a firm called STY, which is Sports Technique Analysis. We are a technology consulting. We are a product company, a technology product company in the field of sports. What we do is we analyze athlete performance using computer vision as the core technology and artificial intelligence. So that has been our product. We have recently launched our first flagship product, which is called as Eva, which is an automated video analysis, and we have been selling that across academies as well as a lot of customers, particularly from a B2B2C scenario, right? For personally, I have around 14 plus years of experience in the field of technology consulting, sales, and marketing. Have been lucky enough to work with a lot of startups, early stage organizations, and MNCs. I've got the opportunity to work across multiple functions like sales, marketing, project management, delivery, HR, finance, and that has actually helped me get a completely different view of how an organization works, and that has been my journey throughout this 14 plus years of my professional career. But personally, I'm a sports enthusiast. I'm very passionate about sports, and that's how I conceptualized Sky. And we took that journey, envisioned it, and then subsequently took that journey a year back. And fortunately, we have got good traction. We are doing well, and I've been implementing these small hacks in the field of sales and marketing in my own organization as well, and it has been very effective and successful. And I hope I can pass that on to all you guys who are there in the session today, and take it up from there. So starting off with the first step, right? So it's a 5-step process. What I would like to kind of very specifically highlight, 5-step process. The first step that typically we do is to set a short-term goal and set a long-term goal. Basis the short-term and the long-term goal, what we do is we plan in depth what is the short-term goal how it can be achieved, and how a long-term goal can be achieved. I'll just give you a small example. A short-term goal can be something that you want to achieve in a week's time, right? It can be, for example, 10 leads you want to achieve in a week's time. How do you achieve it? So that is a short-term goal. You plan that out, detailing it out, right? You make 50 calls a day. Where do you get the databases from? You then subsequently make a pitch. Once you make a pitch, then you start calling the prospects. Once you start calling the prospects, you then list down all the prospects in your sheet. You then qualify it. Then subsequently you start following up. Some might say, okay, you can reach out to me after 2 days. Some might say, no, I'm not currently interested. Some might say, there is no need of such a product. You kind of segment it. You do a customer segmentation, and basis that, then you plan it out, right? So this is like a short-term goal. 1 week, I want to achieve a 10 leads, right? So that is your short-term goal. What is your long-term goal, right? Long-term goal is something that you foresee in next 6 months to 1 year. Is something like a long-term goal. So you plan that out extensively. Okay, this is my long-term goal. So in 6 months, what I want to achieve, like maybe 25 customers in 6 months time, 25 paying customers of X amount. It's the long-term goal. How do we achieve that long-term goal? You plan that out. And then subsequently what you do is you map this. So when I say map, you take your short-term goal, you take your long-term goal and try to calculate it. So it's like a mathematical calculation. 1 + 1 is equal to 2. And then you see whether that 1 + 1 is equal to 2 or whether it's kind of going beyond 6 or beyond 3 or beyond 4, whether that mathematical calculation is mapping or not mapping, right? So this is how we typically try to kind of achieve a short-term goal and a long-term goal and plan that in detail. So this is the first step towards making your effective sales and marketing plan. It can be for sales, it can be for marketing as well. So marketing will typically take a different route, like, your marketing qualified leads, your pitch, your content. Where are you going to publish it? What are the advertisement strategies like? You have like a number of things that comes up. So the first basic benchmark or the your fundamental step is to kind of set your short-term, long-term goals and plan this in detail. Once you have achieved your short-term and long-term goal, this is a very simple thing that you have been hearing from the day you have started your sessions, maybe, right? So that is your SWOT analysis. So what is your SWOT analysis? Know your strength, your product weaknesses, your opportunity available in the market, and know your threats. Why you do your SWOT analysis, right? Now, everyone has told you, do your SWOT analysis, do, all these things. Why do you do it? Right? It's as simple as this. For going for an exam, right, you need to prepare yourself. And there is no best way to do a SWOT analysis to kind of prepare yourself in depth. SWOT analysis again can be of two ways, right? One is to know about your product. Number one, SWOT analysis also helps you map yourself personally, right? How do you map yourself personally, right? What is your strength as a sales or as a marketing guy, right? What is your strength? What is your weaknesses? How are you going to tap onto the opportunities in the market? And what is the threat that you foresee, right? So this gives you a certain level of preemption when it comes to doing a certain step or taking a certain step in whatever field that you take, whether it can be marketing, it can be sales, in any of the field. Just do a SWOT analysis. One is of the product, obviously, which is by default something that is the benchmark. The second is doing a SWOT analysis of yourself. That will help you know what exactly you need to do or what exactly would be your next step, right? And that you will be able to predict certain aspects beforehand, which gives you a certain set of upper hand compared to any of the competitor in the market. So this is a very important factor, doing SWOT analysis of the product and of yourself. Again, I repeat, SWOT analysis is strength, your weakness, opportunities available, and the threats. Strength of your product, strength of your weakness of your product, opportunities available in the market for your product, and what are the threats available. The second aspect is strength of yourself, weakness of yourself, what are the opportunities available for you in the market, and what are the threats available for you. So do a SWOT analysis for yourself and for the product as well. Again, once you do the SWOT analysis, again, revisit it, map it to your long-term and your short-term goals. That gives you again a clear idea, a clear perspective whether your short-term goals is actually achievable, your long-term goals are actually achievable. That gives you a vision. And the entire 5-step process is a iterative dynamic process. So when I say an iterative dynamic process, it's like your artificial intelligence. Everyone must have seen the Marvel movie, right? And there you have Tony Stark creating something called as Jarvis. So that helps you predict, right? That helps you predict. And how Jarvis has been created is through a lot of machine learning, right? So the machine learns itself. Similarly, your process, your steps has to learn from its own process, through its mistakes, through its effectiveness, and also through what it has helped it become, right? You must have achieved something different. You must have achieved some new technique, or you must have made up some effective ways of doing a sales pitch. So all these things has to be revisited again. So again, SWOT analysis has to be mapped against the short-term and the long-term goals, right? So once you do your SWOT analysis, so the first step, what I mentioned is, you do a short-term, long-term goal, plan it out in detail. Number 2, do a SWOT analysis, your strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. Take those things, map it to your long-term and your short-term goals, whether it is in line with your short-term and long-term goals. Just do that analysis. Then come to your step 3. And your step 3 is identify, define your key performance indicators, your KPI. KPIs for each and every process is different. If it's a marketing department, you typically look at an MQL, right? Your marketing qualified leads, your campaign effectiveness as one of the parameters. You look at your ad effectiveness, how many leads you could generate through an ad in XYZ. So you have certain parameters for your marketing, certain parameters for your sales. Sales, it can be leads generated. It can be what is the sales revenue that has been generated, your SQL, your sales qualified leads versus your closure. What is the customer retention if it's an account management, right? In a sales department, there is marketing, there is sales, there's business development, there is account management. So if it's an account management team, then what is the customer retention like, right? So those are like your key performance indicators. You define your key performance indicators. Once you define your key performance indicators, again, keep mapping your entire process vis-a-vis this key performance indicator, right? So one is you do your strength, your long-term, short-term goals. Second is your SWOT analysis. Once you do your SWOT analysis, you define your key performance indicator. How are you going to judge yourself? If you're a leader, how are you going to judge your team? If it's you as an individual who is working in a sales team, how are you going to judge yourself, right? So you keep these parameters very handy yourself. At the end of the day, second day, at the end of the week, end of a month, you define, you see where exactly are you, what are your key performance indicator, आपने वो achieve किए हैं, नहीं किए हैं, you kind of define that activity entirely, right? एक मैं छोटा सा example देता हूँ. One of the steps that we kind of very recently followed, right, was to generate 50 leads in a week. That was our simple definition. ये एक short term goal हमने achieve कर, ये short term goal हमने define कर दिया. हमने SWOT किया उसके ऊपर. SWOT में हमने define किया कि हमारा हमारे strengths क्या है, right? So what we do, we have an automated video analysis software which we sell to a lot of athletes, professional athletes. तो हम इसको कैसे मैप करेंगे? तो हमने देखा कि हमारा strengths क्या है. So one of our key strengths is automation. बहुत सारे platforms है market में जो कि you have to kind of do a lot of things manually. हमारा platform है which is like completely automated. You just put in your videos and it gets you an output. It gets you a result, right? तो हमें पता चला ये हमारा strength है. Now what is the weakness? The weakness is that it gives the video analyst a less of flexibility. क्योंकि हमारा ही engine पूरा कर लेता है, right? So our video analyst का काम क्या है? So that is our weakness, right? So is that a customer for us? Not a customer for us. We have to define a strategy around it. What are the opportunities? Opportunities are immense. Because you're automatically doing something which does not require any human intervention, right? So that is an opportunity. What is the threat? The threat is that all this video analyst जो एक team के अंदर काम करती है या who is working with a particular athlete will say no, this platform is not competent, we do not want this platform, because they see it as a threat, right? Similarly, the platform which is there in the market will support them and will try to perform or outer us into the ecosystem. So that is how it works. So we did this. Now within this entire ecosystem, we define कि हमारा strength तो is this, weakness is video analyst. How do we get them on board, right? So we told them that this is a product which will assist you. It was not a threat to you. We defined our strategy around it. We then identified opportunities where a video analyst can also come inside. Then once we did this, right, the threats automatically got out of the equation. So we did this. Then we defined onto the key performance indicators. We said, अगर मुझे 50 leads एक week में लेकर आना है, so I have to make at least 100 calls. 100 calls करने के लिए, दिन के 100 calls करने के लिए, I would require what? I would require at least a database of around 2,000 athletes and academies, right? I generated that list. Then subsequently we took out numbers. We then defined onto a sales pitch. कि sales pitch कैसे होना चाहिए. Once that sales pitch is defined, we made first 10 calls. After that 10 calls, we saw how many leads is being generated. We saw that there was no one who was interested. So then we revisited our SWOT. We revisited our KPIs. 50 leads generate करने, that is this. We have not generated even one after 10 calls. तो करे कैसे? इसको कैसे करे? We then mapped it back. We said ठीक है, चलो इसको थोड़ा improvise करते. हमने pitch थोड़ा सा और change किया. Again, we made 10 calls. Against that 10 calls, we got one lead. Now I want to increase the hit ratio. How do I do that? So हमने थोड़ा सा और pitch को tweak किया. Basis the responses that we are getting from the customer. We tweaked that. We started keep doing this, right? 50 calls. After 70, 80 calls, we literally realized that this is the apt pitch because the hit ratio has improved. We were getting at least out of 10 calls, we were able to get 5 people getting interested into the product, right? So we then kept on improvising it. हमने पूरा अपना pitch improve कर लिया through the simple process of SWOT and key performance indicator. Kept mapping it at regular intervals. हमने सब बार check करते गए, and then we are able to generate the certain set of qualified leads. So this is just an example that I'm giving you in terms of how we could improve the entire process, right? This is the third step, which is called as defining your key performance indicator. What is the fourth step? Is to know your customer journey. This is the most critical step to address any dynamic or any question that comes in which is like totally not in your control. आपने पहले बार वो question सुना हुआ है कोई customer से, आप pitch कर रहे हो, suddenly कुछ आपको आ जाता है, right? So that is something that you need to address it. How do you address it? You should know your customer journey. How do you know your customer? What is a customer journey, right? Customer journey is basically आपके product खरीदने तक, उसके बाद वो product के साथ क्या करता है till the time he either sticks to your product or he churns out. Churn मतलब निकल जाता है. He doesn't want your product, right? So this is something that you should know by default. This will help you to actually pitch very efficiently to your customers, right? A simple example in here also I would like to just highlight so that it becomes very simple. So one of the customers had an apprehension कि यार ये product में मेरे को interest तो है, but I don't know how it will help me. So ask him, what is it that you feel? What is your hesitation? आपको ऐसा क्यों लगता है product आपको help क्यों नहीं करेगा? तो it's an automated video analysis. आपको पूरा automation है. You need not do anything. You just put the video onto the platform. It gives you an end result, gives you a report. So why are you hesitant using this platform? And he said a very simple. He asked me 3 questions. What if I do not have a internet while doing this? Because I run an academy. In an academy, we have said that there is no phones allowed. So, and that too for the coaches. So the coaches does not carry a phone. So what do I do in such a scenario? Number 1. Number 2, he told me, what if the platform, मुझे अगर 24 hours में report चाहिए और आपका platform अगर नहीं काम कर रहा है, so if it will not generate a report in 24 hours, the parents or the athlete would come and say, no, I paid for this service, why are you not giving me this service? Number 2. Number 3, he said very clearly कि ultimately what is the accuracy? क्योंकि मैं जब eyeball करता हूँ, मैं जब एक वीडियो देखता हूँ, so I know कि ये वाले वीडियो पे ये challenges है. What if it is not in that same accuracy level? How do I question that or how do I map it? अगर user को पता चल गया तो it will be a question that comes in. And these were like very valid problems and these were like very valid questions that he had raised. Now how did we counter this, right? We had already defined the customer journey. कि एक platform लेने के बाद customer क्या करेगा? Right, so these were like 10 different scenarios. We had actually written it down कि ये scenario हो सकता है, ये scenario हो सकता है, ये scenario हो सकता है. And this helped us to define a new business model in itself. जो business model जो हम बोलते हैं तो एक product ही हमने generate कर पाया, which is called as a service in itself. It's a SaaS service, service as a service, right? What we did is we told कि आप do not worry about anything. हम results निकालेंगे, हम उसे validate भी करेंगे. Validate in the sense we have a team of technology consultant. You need not worry about it. हम वो validate भी करेंगे. हम वो proper एक report को sign करके stamp करके आपको दे देंगे where you will say, okay, there is an entire this that is available, which is stamped by Stag and use it. And this actually helped us create a new revenue stream. This helped us create a new business model. और ये करने से हमें जो पुराना जो मॉडल था जहां पर हमसे प्लेटफॉर्म बेच रहे थे, we also entered in this ecosystem and we started generating more revenue, which became much more profitable, right? So this is an example where you should know your customer journey very thoroughly. अगर आपको आपका customer journey पता है, right, this is what it is. You can do a lot of things. One more example that I can give you is when I was working as a consultant, when I was doing my consulting job with an analytics firm, right? Over there is a new this that came in, a new opportunity that came in, जो कि credit card users थे, right? So what we used to do is हम banks के साथ काम करते, उनके data लेते और उनके लिए AI engines बनाते, that is artificial engine बनाते. So what we did is we took their data, we analyzed their data, जो भी यूजर है, आप क्रेडिट कार्ड यूज करते हो, आप जाते हो शॉपिंग के लिए, शॉप कर रहे हो, योर क्रेडिट कार्ड लिमिट इज ऑफ 20,000 रुपीज। जैसे वो 20,000 रुपीज लिमिट आप हिट करते हो, ऑटोमेटिकली द इंजन गोज टू द बैकएंड सिस्टम, आइडेंटिफाइज कि अरे ये इंजन, ये इसका तो 20,000 लिमिट का प्रॉब्लम है, there's a probability that he might shop more, which is an additional business for me. He checks his CIBIL score, he checks his transaction history, and then subsequently increases the credit limit by default. अभी just imagine the customer journey, right? वो shopping कर रहा है, वो क्रेडिट कार्ड स्वाइप कर रहा है, उसको मैसेज आया योर क्रेडिट लिमिट इज फिनिश्ड, और उसको और 2-3 जगह पर जाना भी है, शॉपिंग भी करना है, लंच भी करना है, करेगा क्या वो? is completely out of the sync. So what does he do, right? And just imagine suddenly you get a message from the bank, ICICI Bank या HDFC आपको मैसेज कर लेता है कि you're getting a new you're getting a credit limit, extended credit limit of 10,000 rupees additional. How happy you would be as a customer, right? But at the same time, just look at what the bank has done. The bank has generated a new business model. It's a new revenue model for them. Nothing they have did, जस्ट कस्टमर का जर्नी मैप करते करते उन्होंने आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया है कि इनको और क्रेडिट लिमिट चाहिए, ऑटोमेटिकली दे दो। कस्टमर को अपना धंधा भी मिल रहा है, बैंक को अपना धंधा भी मिल रहा है, कस्टमर इज ऑल्सो हैप्पी। सो दैट इज व्हाई नोइंग योर कस्टमर जर्नी इज सो इम्पोर्टेंट, दैट यू कैन एक्चुअली वर्क ऑन अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स टू इंक्रीज योर सेल्स। एक्स आपका टारगेट है, आप 10x 20x अचीव कर सकते हो। इट्स एज सिंपल एज दैट इफ यू नो योर कस्टमर जर्नी। आप कस्टमर के साथ हो, योर सेल्स पीपल, यू शुड नो योर कस्टमर्स, उनका जर्नी आपको पता होना चाहिए, तब जाके आप उनको बेच पाओगे, एडिशनल भी बेच पाओगे, जो नए कस्टमर्स है उनको भी अच्छे से बेच पाओगे, बिकॉज यू नो कि ये पुराना कस्टमर का जर्नी क्या रहा है, राइट? कॉन्फिडेंट, यू विल बी मच मोर कॉन्फिडेंट. So that is where you should so very clear defined activity which is called as know your customer, which is the fourth most important step. And the last step which I want to highlight is track your progress. As I said, हर एक स्टेप जो आप करते हो उसको आप अपने शॉर्ट टर्म, लॉन्ग टर्म गोल्स, आपके की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर्स एंड आपके कस्टमर जर्नी के साथ आप मैप करो. व्हाई इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट? क्योंकि शॉर्ट टर्म, लॉन्ग टर्म गोल्स अगर आपके अचीव होंगे नहीं होंगे ये तभी आपको पता चलेंगे. की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर जो आपने डिफाइन किया हुआ है वही अगर मैच नहीं हो रही तो ऑटोमेटिकली यू नो योर शॉर्ट टर्म, लॉन्ग टर्म गोल्स आर नेवर गोना बी मैच्ड. द थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर इज कस्टमर जर्नी. कस्टमर जर्नी में अगर कुछ ट्वीक्स आती है, if there are certain changes that happens, if there are certain things that kind of needs improvement, जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया, if you know your customer journey, you can help them. The example of our platform where we were trying to sell them, we generated an entirely new business model. अगर ये हमें पहले पता होती तो हम पहले कर सकते हैं, लेकिन ये कस्टमर जर्नी के थ्रू ही पता चल गया. So we kind of re-improvised it. हम pivot करते गए, हम reiterate करते गए, we kind of revisited our entire plan. So this is very important factor is to track your progress, not just purely from your perspective, but it is also very important from a organizational perspective. It is important from your own capacity perspective, आप कितने strong हो from a sales perspective, and also from your own achievement aspect, right? This is how you probably will help you plan effectively. If I get deep into this, there's a lot of other techniques that you can do. But this is a very simple fundamental block that each and every salespeople who is from at the lowest of the ecosystem to the highest of the director level or VP level sales guy can do is to follow these 5 steps to make it more established, to make it more fundamental, to make it more strong at the bottom so that the rest of the things can be easily achieved. With this, I come to the end of the session. We are already 5:30. We started at 5:05. I did not take much time, so I kept it very short, simple to kind of keep it within the time limit. And I hope it was very effective, and it was informative for you guys. You could grasp something out of it. I'm open for questions in case if anyone has any questions, or I'm not sure if we can take questions as well.
Yes, sir. Sir, we will wait for 1 more minute. Okay, I have we will get in the chat box. Chat box.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely.
I think, sir, there are no more doubts. So I think we can, sir, wrap up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarvesh. Thank you so much, team,
Thank you,
and
sir. Thank you for
all
your
the
valuable
best.
time, sir.
All the best for your future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the time.